Hello and welcome to the Fortnightly Frontier podcast with me, Myre, and over there we have my good friend, as always, Mr. Darjanator. This is the bi-weekly. Is it bi-week? Bi-weekly means every 2 weeks or once every 2 weeks? Oh,
Bi-weekly is an ambiguous thing. It means every 2 weeks, and it also means twice a week.
right. So that it's one of those podcasts where we talk about Star Citizen and everything about Star Citizen. This week we have a pretty interesting list of things to talk about, actually,
Hmm.
but nothing really that specific. It's one of those
Nothing
ones.
specific, also nothing new, but I just thought
No.
that we'd take the advantage of the lull in information and releases
Lol?
and ships.
Yeah.
Lol, yes, lols, yeah. To talk about some things that are coming up in 3.9 and in the near future. That being, in order of appearance, food
Food.
stuff,
Mm-hmm.
prisons, and a couple
Prison.
of ships. I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
Yeah.
If we get to it, no promises.
we'll probably get to it. No promises. No, in fact, I will promise. That way, yeah, I'll contradict you, so people get pissed with you and not me.
Hey, if this episode is particularly long, it's his fault.
We'll just try and do it at double speed. Or, I mean, you could, if you're watching or listening on YouTube, you can always like just put on the double speed now. It'll save you time.
And that's why I'm going to talk like this from now on.
And I'll talk really fast to screw you up. Okay, so first on the list is food stuff. So a couple weeks ago,
Oh, yeah.
just after our last podcast, somebody data mines the PTU that's currently live as of today, which is the 17th of February. The PTU is now up, and somebody data mined it. And every now and then, the PTU doesn't just bring new gameplay and new things to test, but every now and then, sometimes other things seep into it. And data miners go inside and see if they can find anything, like any secrets, bits of new ships that may come up. And this time around, they found some mission data and item data that didn't really that don't exist yet or have no use yet in
Yeah.
the game.
Yet.
And yes, yet. And so yeah, one of those is food stuff in prisons. So yeah,
Is it just prisons? I'm thinking it's. Or did you say and prisons?
I meant to
'Cause
say
foodstuffs-
and yeah.
Yeah. Because the
Mm.
foodstuffs will span further out than just prisons. It's not going to be just. It would be weird that only when you are incarcerated that you suddenly have to worry about your calorie intake.
I mean, that's true, but I mean, they have kind of touched upon maybe wanting it so that, like, if you're an ARC Corp, you won't starve to death because that's dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you
yeah.
got food vendors everywhere. You're supposed to be, if you're at one of those locations, it's kind of expected you have at least enough money to afford sustenance. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so let's see. So it says prisons. The rules. There are only 2 rules in prison. Don't write on the walls and obey all rules.
So
That's actually
just don't write on the walls.
Exactly.
Is that a reference to something that I'm not familiar with?
It probably is. It probably is. But yeah, that's the first item that's within this whole like list of data mined information. And the next and the last part that's prison specific for now that they found is kiosk information. So you know how you have like law kiosks and stuff? Well, they also have a prison kiosk because you need to use that for, everything prison related.
Makes sense.
Do
Since
you have
there's
it
no
up?
guards. No, I don't. You didn't
Okay,
make me.
so I'll
Since,
listen. You comment.
Yeah. Since there's no guards, it's an automated thing. It only makes sense that there would be display information displays everywhere that you can interact with and get this sort of stuff that you need.
Yeah. So it is actually a funny point there that so you mentioned that I mentioned maybe food kind of seems like a dumb idea to have in R Corp. Well, maybe they might push food as a thing, as a mechanic only in prisons to further torture people who are in there as something to kind of monitor. But yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway, kiosk information. So there is a handbook apparently. And then another item on the kiosk. So I'm imagining this is like everything that you would see on the main the home page of your kiosk.
Yeah.
And there are parameters there for time served,
Mm,
merit contribution. So they mention that merits are something that you earn over time when you're in prison doing
yeah.
activities.
And
Um,
that is how you pay off the fine to society, or however you want to call it. It's not just by time served. You actually
yeah,
have to put in the work. Yeah. So,
yeah.
s- well, time is one of it,
Hmm.
but the more merits you contribute, the faster time ticks down. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Merits
that's
are
how it
like
is.
a secondary currency within Star Citizen, or a tertiary currency, because we already have REC and all that stuff. But yeah, merits
Hmm.
are a currency within the prison system. I believe you can earn them by doing things like mining. You can also
Yep.
bet merits as well in the boxing ring, and presumably also just trade them with other prisoners as well later down the line.
Hmm.
But yeah, so merit contribution is another item on that list. Original sentence. So I guess it just means like how long you are initially stated out to be in prison
Yeah.
for.
Hmm.
Sentence extension is a
Oh,
whole list. So yeah, it looks like,
I missed that one.
yeah. So it looks like perhaps you go into prison because you committed a crime. But it looks like already they've thought of adding parameters in there to punish you for committing more crime in prison.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm guessing. So those boxing matches, right, that you can bet
Hmm.
on. I
Yeah.
wonder if those are actually illegal, and the loser, the winner, also gets some merits to shorten their sentence, but the loser loses them, and their sentence is increased.
Maybe you could bet merits as you fight. That'd be an interesting way of doing it. Yeah. But unless like a prison guard was to stumble upon you.
Bet on the other guy and just throw the match, and
Exactly.
you have a net win.
So there's an entire like other thing there for merits, just like how many merits you have. So obviously you have a total amount of merits, but also how many merits you've contributed towards lowering your sentence.
Hmm.
Um
Yeah, because
yeah.
that wouldn't be automatic, since you want to use the merits for trading, like with let's say you have some merits, but you want to earn more merits,
Mm,
and you spend some merits with another inmate to get a better mining tool,
yeah.
or an extended oxygen tank, so you can go further into the mine.
That's right. What's not mentioned in the data mine stuff is exactly that. What Luke mentioned, that you can spend merits to reduce your time, but also on other items. It'd be interesting to see what kind of items you can get eventually.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so the second to last item there for kiosk information is your unique prisoner ID. In the concept art, they kind of showed like what they thought they imagine a prison uniform to look like, and it does have the ID on it. So it'll be really cool to see like everybody having their own like individual unique
Oh,
IDs on the uniforms to like tell each other
that
apart.
that'd be a cool thing for some procedural customization of clothing. Yeah,
Hmm.
if they can make that in, yeah, and then we'll have, that they can extend that to civilian clothing and civilian uniforms, not uniforms, but just the spacesuits and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then lastly, projected time till release. So the ticking timer. You
Mm.
can just sit there and stare it down. So how long do you think? I mean, like, we don't know yet. They haven't really given us like a time, but how long do you think the minimum time sentence you could possibly get, for being in prison?
Oh, geez. Con- So this is something that's been doing the rounds in the Star Citizen community. Like,
4 years.
Nubifyre's video specifically was like, the prisons are going to be the death of Star Citizen. Change my mind. It's like every week the guy just drums up new controversy for the sake of views, and I hate it so much. Um,
We love you, newbie.
yes, just not your video titles. Um,
That's one man's opinion.
it's 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 gonna have to be short enough to not be super annoying. Like, what am I gonna do now? I might not play, or and long enough to be a proper nuisance.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but so considering how long like a normal mission in Star Citizen lasts, I'm guessing at least half an hour for the minimum one.
for the minimum, yeah, half an hour seems fair because it gives you enough time to like at least look around the prison and see what there is to do before your time is up and you can leave. But I do feel like even before prisons are out, there's a huge knee-jerk reaction from people not wanting to serve any time and going, "Oh, we're gonna have to serve 4 hours in there," like before even knowing
Well,
exactly.
if you get sentenced to 4 hours, it's for something you did, and you know full well you shouldn't have. You dick.
That's what that's another thing, right? Like, let's say that half an hour is like the minimum. Like they when they make this argument, it's always as if they don't care about the minimum; they just care about the maximum. But
Mm.
it's like, don't play the game that way if you don't want the risks. And I've heard this argument before. People have said like, well, they wouldn't play like that if pirate gameplay wasn't like specifically they talk about how pirate gameplay is supported in Star Citizen, but it's broken, and so they have to play that way. And then my answer for that is pirate gameplay is not in Star Citizen. You can kill people, sure. That's one part of being a pirate. If you want to, you can fight
Yeah,
people. That's part
but
of being a
that's
pirate.
not piracy.
But that's not
Piracy is
piracy.
about stealing primarily.
Exactly.
It's about creating strife. It's not about just cold-blooded murder. That's called cold-blooded murder.
Yeah.
So by piracy, you would, like, the most basic thing would be disabling someone and stealing their cargo. Or forcing someone to drop their cargo even though you let them escape. That's maybe a little more milder version of piracy.
Yeah. I mean, larceny is a better term than piracy, and I believe larceny is actually a crime within the game at the moment that they do get slapped for. But yeah, they're always like, oh well, we can't do our piracy the way we want to, but you're not committing piracy because there is no end goal apart from ruining somebody's day. You can't take their stuff, you can't make them do things.
You can't take their ship, their cargo, or or kidnap them for money, for a ransom.
Yeah, I think that CIG could do things to make piracy more viable without adding any new gameplay mechanics. Like for instance, they talked about a while ago two forms of ownership: physical ownership and legal ownership. Where like if I buy a ship or I pledge for a ship or whatever, then it's my ship legally. But let's say you take it for a spin, it's your ship physically. The moment that ship becomes yours physically and you're in the helm and I'm not on that ship, you should be able to then go somewhere else and sell my cargo, regardless of if I have given you permission. That's what I feel is physical ownership, but you can't do that at the moment.
But selling your ship, probably wouldn't be able to, because then it would say, the NPC would see, this person is trying to sell me a ship. However, the owner of the ship is not them. Something's up here.
Yeah. Which is when you will then take the ship to Grim Hex, where they don't care, or maybe even Levski, because they're different from the UEE. They're not pirates. They're just like outlaws. And
have a go to Grim Hex or whatever the location, and have the IFF or the transponder or whatever it is changed to you. If they go down that route, unless it's all sort of cloud based,
Yeah, I think that it's coming, and we do have chop shops in the game. We have Grim Hex is one, but we actually have physical chop shops that look the part as well. We have Reclamation and Disposal Orinth on Hurston. We have the Orphanage on one of the ArcCorp moons. We have Brio's Breaker Yard on Daymar. They exist and they look like it, but the actual gameplay isn't there yet. But I don't think it'll take that much developer time to make it so, as it were,
Yeah. And yeah, that's piracy. What we have right now in game isn't piracy. And I just to go back a bit, and this got me
Yep.
thinking. In terms of sentences,
Hmm.
time-wise, I wonder if it would also make sense to have a really long sentence. However, merits really decimate it.
That would be good. I mean, that would at least
And that would
incentivize you.
incentivize to
Yeah.
actually play the mission gameplay loops instead of just lying in bed and waiting for your sentence to tick down. Like so,
Yeah.
for a crime for a CS1, let's just simplify it for now.
Hmm.
Just your regular CS1 imprisonment, it would be a week of in-game.
And so
But
for people who don't know, CS1 means crime stat 1. There are 5
yeah,
crime stats, and CS1 is like for punching a nun, basically.
yeah. I think this is actually going away with all the with the different lists of crimes that they also
Yeah.
introduced. So it's not going to be CS1, but it will be just warrant for arrest based on that crime, and each crime will have a different sentence applied to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it would make sense to have it be really long, but a merit just completely destroys it. So,
Yeah.
which would make merits far more valuable than time.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is that these sentences are in-game time. Even if you are given half an hour of jail time, you can't log off, go get a kebab, come back, and then play. You have to be
Mm.
in-game,
Yeah.
to serve the time, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, that's that. Hopefully they do give pirates and stuff more gameplay. I feel like that will be coming, and I don't think that it's going to be so difficult for them to implement. But, until we get, player police with bounty hunting
Mm.
in 4.0, and until we get like pyro, which is like just a huge playing field where no rules apply, I think that's why
Mm.
they're kind of just keeping our new citizens safer, until
Yeah.
then they can
Also,
unleash everybody.
yeah. Also, with CS5, for instance, Crimes at 5, something really bad, you would get such a long sentence that even using merits to whittle it
Mm,
down would make sense. Which, in that case,
you have to escape.
you have to escape. That brings
Yeah.
about, it makes that bit of gameplay viable.
Yeah, 100%. Because otherwise, there's no reason why you would want to escape. Because if you serve your time, then you get all your stuff back. And if you've spent a lot of time into the game, and because we don't have physical inventories yet, all your stuff is always on you. So the moment you're in prison, then like everything that you own is on your body. And so if you escape prison and leave it all behind, then you're back at square one. So
Mhm.
yeah, at least for now.
Yeah, but a physicalized inventory would mean that you only lose what you have on you instead of everything. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But
So,
that's actually for tier 0. That's actually a good point, because Luke Presley said that when you spawn in prison, your inventory is basically just hidden,
right.
and then if you escape and you get out of the zone of influence of the prison, does that mean that your inventory just pops back up?
Good point. I hope it's just unhidden. That would make more sense to me. That would work better, at least for tier 0, when,
Yeah.
otherwise it'll be such a time sink for the player who's, just testing, didn't mean it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
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 Mm. But yeah, so that's that for prisons. We had a whole discussion about what we thought prisons are going to be like. So I think we should make a beeline to food now.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get hungry as well.
All right. So
It's
with
interesting, yeah,
Mhm. Go on.
to see. I was not expecting this.
Yeah.
I was even for ultimate implementation, not just tier 0 implementation. I was thinking we'd get hunger and hydration, and that's it.
But
But
they put a
what
lot
are
of
we
thought
getting?
into this already. A lot of
Yeah.
thought. I mean, within the data mined like bit of food, that even includes things like you would find in your journal when you launch the game, which is pretty interesting. So it goes, food. How does food work? Should I read the entire thing, or?
Oh, go for it.
All right. We all lead busy lives, and sometimes making good nutrition choices can be a daunting challenge, to say the least. Thankfully, by using the NDR and HEI ratings assigned to most commercially available food and drinks, taking better care of yourself has never been easier. Just remember, the higher the score, the better the nutrition, and the better you'll feel. So it's not quite like Scum, like Scum, the survival game where you have to monitor vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, G until you Z. But you have to. It's just two things: NDR and HEI in Star Citizen, which is pretty interesting. So nutrition and hydration.
But
yeah,
it's still slightly more complex than that.
So there are dietary effects. They go into more detail exactly about what NDR is and what hydration HEI is. So I'm not gonna read the entire blurb for it because it's pure lore. It's beautiful, but it's just pure lore. NDR stands for nutritional density rating. So that's just like food will have a number NDR, and the higher it is, the better you can assume it is for you. And then HEI stands for Hydration Efficacy Index. And again, the higher the number, the more your hydration numbers will increase as well.
Right. This may be not as good as pure water. So like vintage brand seltzer water would probably be at the top of that list.
So Mr. Boomer in chat says, so we'll get an eat meter? I mean, essentially, but I wouldn't worry too much about it just yet, because they've always mentioned that they don't want it to be like Minecraft or Atlas, where you have to keep mashing grapes into your face every 2.5 minutes or you die from severe dehydration or stuff. It's over several hours or even days of gameplay. But you would want to maybe still get on top of it every other hour to give yourself buffs and also balance debuffs accordingly. Which are dietary effects. So, in addition to the baseline scores, many foods and drinks have been additionally labeled with keywords to provide extra information about the potential effects that item will have on your health. Take a look at the list below for some of the most common effects and what they mean. You all right, Darj?
I'm looking below.
Looking for the list below. You can't find it? Well, let me help you out then. So, some of these words are big, but hypertrophic. So, hyper meaning big, trophic meaning growth. So, provides additional blood flow and nutrients to key muscle groups to keep them performing optimally. So what do you think that means for you as a player? Hypertrophic, that's all they have there. That and that little blurb as to what hypertrophic means.
Well, I'm guessing that's all the food that we today think of as healthful, something rich in fiber and unprocessed sugars, unsaturated fats. Which are the good ones? The saturated or unsaturated?
Food stuff.
Foods, food stuff. I don't know. It's stuff that's not designed. It's not fast food, not burgers and chips and kebab. Even though as delicious as they may be, they're not really conducive to good health.
So a key point there in the blurb is that it says key muscle groups. So if I think about games that have anything to do with muscles, I think of something like Crisis, for instance, and Maximum Power. So maybe if you have a hypertrophic buff, maybe you might run faster in the game,
Huh, interesting. Yeah, or run longer be able to sprint longer before your heart rate starts climbing. Or your heart rate climb is lower, which is already a thing with encumbrance. Like the heavier the stuff you're wearing, the quicker your rise in heart rate is.
Yeah.
For instance, if you're I think the Animus rocket launcher and the railgun and that huge double barrel sniper rifle, those are really heavy stuff, and if you go sprint and jump with those, you're at 130 instantly.
And I guess I should stress that I feel like CIG don't want it to be something that you have to micromanage if you don't want to, but for this for dietary effects, it's if you want to min-max your FPS gameplay, for instance, if you want to do that, then it's there for you. So, and for all these buffs, there are also debuffs. So the opposite of hypertrophic is atrophic or atrophic, depending on how you feel that day.
Wouldn't that be hypotrophic though, or did they want to get away from the confusion between hyper and hypo, sounding
Um,
almost the same?
I mean, medically speaking, I mean, like you would use hypertrophy, and then the opposite would be atrophy. So
Oh, okay,
yeah, like yeah, so like your muscles atrophy if you don't move your arms and stuff. You don't
that's true.
your
That's
muscles
true.
don't hypotrophy.
Okay.
So atrophic restricts blood flow, negatively affects the muscles, making tasks seem harder. So again, like you said, I imagine it's like, carrying boxes, you may be slower at doing it and that kind of thing. Um, Perhaps. And like again, maybe running might be slower and that kind of thing if you have an atrophic
Mhm.
bug. I mean, bug
Bu-
debuff.
debuff, or the opposite of what we had before, like you get tired more quickly. Your heart
Yeah.
rate climbs more quickly.
So for hypertrophic and atrophic, what kind of foods do you think that they'll add in the game to kind of like cover those bases?
Oh, well, the torpedo burrito, I'm guessing it's very atrophic.
I mean, atrophic almost seems like poison. Like
Yeah,
it restricts blood
yeah,
flow.
exactly, which is why I was thinking that you had hypo, which is just lowered, with atrophic being non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, like if a food is atrophic and it restricts blood flow, then I mean, like yeah, maybe a torpedo burrito, but maybe like 100 or so over time, so it narrows your blood vessels. You know,
Mm.
like
So,
yeah.
so just whenever you go for a burrito, kids, just take an aspirin to get along with it. So yeah, just
This is not actual medical advice, by the way.
no,
Just yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. So Darj, not me. All right, so all right, so the next one is energizing. So provides a boost to your energy levels, allowing you to be active for longer. So I think this kind of touches upon uh hypertrophic, or at least like what you thought hypertrophic would be.
Mm.
So I guess energizing is your stamina bar, as it
Oh,
were.
okay,
Mm,
okay.
yeah.
Huh. So what would it be then? What would Hmm.
I imagine energizing is a stamina bar, whereas hypertrophic is literally just like performance. Like you are faster, you know? You can
Oh,
jump
okay,
higher.
okay.
Yeah.
I see, I see. Okay.
Like crisis style. Should I make that comparison? Is that lawsuit still happening?
Still is for
Oh
now. Yeah.
man. And then the opposite of energizing is fatiguing, has a draining effect, causing lethargy and general sense of exhaustion. So I imagine again, just lower stamina bar.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Or yeah, lower. I guess, but not lower sprinting speeds or shorter jump height.
Yeah. Uber dude in chat says, I just want to consume nutrient paste, man. I mean, I imagine that you could like just buy something really basic that has no buffs, but will just keep you level if you don't want to
Is
bother about this stuff.
isn't that human bars, the
Human
banned
food
stuff?
bars. That's
Yeah.
banned. And I think that might actually be humans. And I wonder where that'll actually
Oh.
like put you in all this.
Soylent Green is
Mm.
real. Hmm. Hmm. It'd be amazing if we actually find out that human is the best food you could actually have, for being both hypertrophic and energizing and super hydrating and everything.
Yeah.
Probably isn't.
All right. So, let's see. What's next? So, after fatiguing is cognitive boosting. Now, this is a very nebulous one for me, like
Yeah,
yeah.
and makes me wonder how they're planned to implement this, because
Yeah.
ultimately your cognition is based on the player's mind. There's no filter or boost in game that could make the player smarter or dumber, is there?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just looking forward to buying Omega 3 over the counter in game, that's for sure. But yeah, it says encourages brain function by allowing additional focus while performing complicated tasks. So, like in the 890 jump mission, you have to like stop a hack by pressing buttons. Maybe like as you're doing like the the hacker man like thing, maybe your hacker man foo is faster.
Maybe because
Mm.
the hacking right now is tier 1, I want to say, because tier 0 was basically just push a button. Tier
Yeah.
1 would be insert a key, and then that hacks in. However, that's only going to be in game as a way of bypassing actual hacking. So if you want
Yeah.
to perform the actual hacks, you
Yeah.
can do it without the key.
Yeah.
But then you have to perform, do the little mini games or whatever the hack foo requires.
Yeah. So I think at tier 0, I mean, like as been said in chat there, it might be as simple as just accelerating interactions.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then
Or possibly it may actually just be an NPC thing.
possibly. But if it's there in that list, it might also be a player thing. And if it was, I think that it would literally just be to make interactions faster.
Mm.
What might be interesting, but I don't think that that's part of it because it's slightly different, is that you know how like people who have played FPS games and then go into Star Citizen, they always complain about how there is this like lag between pressing W on the keyboard and then your player actually like rolling into the run.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That, however, I don't think is engineered to be there so they can fix it by
Not
giving you
fix.
drugs. But
Yeah. Not fix,
it's
but
because
make
we have the unified first and third person animation system, which has to be synchronized between servers and other players.
Yeah. So, and then next is cognitive impairing, which is stymies brain activity, making it difficult to focus for long durations.
Still don't know how they plan to implement that, unless it's basically like getting drunk in GTA and it makes your screen wobble, and if you're pressing forward to talk, you're not going just in a straight line, but veering left and right and stuff like that.
Yeah. My bet's again on just slowing down interactions for at least at the tier 0 level. Like in Star Marine, for instance, like in the capture the base thing, like you basically walk up to a laptop and then your character is standing there for a while, having to do a task. It might just be that cognitive impairing stuff just like slows that down, like so that you spend 8 seconds instead of 5.
Or in an FPS, it may also translate into lower accuracy. Or just more view bob when you're aiming down sights and stuff like that.
Oh, I would hate that. That would suck, but I guess that would just mean don't eat stuff that gives you that debuff. Cyberbob in chat on Twitch says, well, cognition impairment could slow you down when using technology or ability to gather or read information. Again, implementing it so that, like, let's say you use your Mobiglass and all of a sudden, like, your vision is going blurry, like reading your Mobiglass, to me sounds like too much.
Or artificial dyslexia.
Artificial, like the letters just start to like rearrange themselves. Oh man, that would just
or not like you're reading a mission brief, and you put your Mobiglass away and you bring it back up to check something, and the names are different. Locations are different.
Like me reading chat.
Maybe. So if you look like if you're on like on just really cognitively impaired, like that would make it really cool. Like your short-term memory isn't right, and you have trouble comprehending things, and that actually, has anybody ever done that in video games?
I think the question is
make text change every time you read it.
The question is, should anybody ever do that? And I think the answer is no.
No. Or on MFDs, you see, like every time you look at the power distribution, it's in a different position, even though somebody else with its normal.
Yeah.
Looks at it and it's in the exact same position every time.
Oh yeah, but people would assume that there's a bug or something going on. I don't think. Yeah. Desmond in chat says thanks. I hate it.
So many issue council reports about just the effects of being drunk.
So next up is something simpler.
Oh my god, I just had another idea.
What up?
Like, If you get blackout drunk
Mm-hmm.
and log out, your avatar in NPC form just starts doing stuff. And then when you log back in, you're in a different position, in a different ship, with different clothes, lying next to
Why
somebody
am
you had
I
never met.
naked? Oh man, that'd be so stupid.
That would be stupid, but oh my god, that would be hilarious.
With subsumption, why not though? Why not? So next up is something simpler, you'd imagine. Hydrating. Helps your body to better absorb water, allowing you to satisfy your thirst for longer.
Oh, I completely misunderstood that. I thought it was actually hydrating you, not that it gave you a buff where then after you drink water, you actually absorb more.
Yeah. So it's like
Oh.
if you have hydrating stuff, you wouldn't have to bother about the whole mechanic for a long time. Which works for people, because not everybody is into that like survival life. So why not? I like that. But of course, there is the opposite, dehydrating. So like and that causes your body to lose water, making you thirstier.
Like coffee.
Yeah, like coffee. I'm so thirsty. I imagine that a lot of the foods in game that give you nice buffs will always come with like like a quid pro quo, like something to like worry about.
Yeah. And I'm imagining there will also be available like hypo sprays that basically just do that effect, and so you don't have to seek out food and eat it, but basically just like a medipen, just jab it into your arm, and all of a sudden you're more energetic.
Yeah,
it's pure cocaine.
What could go wrong? But like there is a game that does something similar to this already in practice, and it works okay, like having all these effects and how they work. It's Escape from Tarkov. It's still like in early access, but they have
what game isn't these days.
That's sadly very true. But yeah, so like it does this and it does it really well. Like you have items like up there like morphine and propofol that you basically like you stab yourself with, like a hypo, like you would in like a sci-fi game. And it gives you immediate buffs, so for instance with the propofol you can like run on broken legs and that kind of thing. But you also then get really harsh debuffs afterwards, especially for propofol, like where like you get tunnel vision, your ears start ringing, you hurt more, you need like splints. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how
that would also be a good way of maybe cognitive impairment, like muffled sounds when you're listening to something, blurred vision.
That already is. I mean, they wouldn't have to code it in because it exists already. If somebody punches you in the head or you get shot in the head and you don't die, you do get those effects already.
Those post-processing effects already exist. But they would probably have to be tailored to because we have just one. It's basically just lower FPS, motion blur, and then desaturation and tunnel vision. It's all of it.
It's not piecemeal. So that was dehydrating. Next is healing. Provides vital nutrients to help your body naturally repair itself.
Yeah. Okay, that's probably not going to help with bullet wounds.
Unless you're Wolverine, of course. Like
you just go.
Yeah.
But maybe like if you're atrophic for a while or whatever, you start actually feeling those effects long term, and then you have to get the healing stuff to get back to the original state.
Right. My interpretation is that it is gradual health regeneration. Like it's healing over time. So you have your medipens and stuff that will heal you, but at the same time you can have something healthy, and you get something that you don't get right now in game, which is just gradual healing over time too, which would be nice.
Yeah, but that would only have like I said, bullet wounds, broken bones. I don't
Yeah.
think like a carrot would help with that. Even if you had like a whole bushel of
Apply
carrots.
directly to the wound. Just like shove the carrot into the plug yourself.
But what sort of medical maladies would there be that you could treat over time? Maybe I guess scrapes and cuts and bruises. Um,
I mean, like yellow damage. We'll just call it yellow damage. You know, like we have like with your the paper doll, you have like, you know, full health, which is like a white doll. Then it goes yellow, then red, then black.
Yeah.
So yellow damage might be able to heal back to full. Red damage might be able to heal to like just before yellow, that kind of thing.
Like if you apply a splint to a broken bone and then you do a lot of eat a lot of food that is healing, that that would, I guessing, would actually be beneficial to healing that.
Somebody get him some milk.
Yeah. So even with bullet holes and broken bones, maybe once the physical damage is repaired, you would still need to heal.
Yeah. That would make sense to me for sure. Otherwise,
but then you still have to. You actually do have to fix the physical damage.
Yeah, it's more like the health pool regenerates, so that like if you do take more damage, you're not at risk of dying, but you would still suffer the effects of like not having a good enough arm for proper perfect aim, or like running at max speed. So the next one is toxic. Contains elements that are detrimental to your health and can cause damage if consumed in large quantities. So I imagine drugs that give you hypertrophy and all that other stuff, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and Britney Spears.
Yeah. Sure, that too.
Like what is it, propofol in Tarkov? Yeah, that gives you a buff, but then afterwards
messes you up severely. And so that's toxic. I guess the opposite of healing. Then we have immune boosting. Helps your body stay healthy while exposed to harmful elements. So anti-cancer.
Okay. Yeah. From The Expanse.
From The Expanse, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Or so if you have to go, for instance, a while ago, in the Starfarer Rex, if you went close to the engine room, you would just die.
Right.
Because they had radiation, and that was it. So, for instance, here, you have a piece of technology that you have to get from that Starfarer, but it's bathed in radiation because the power plant just, is on the fritz. So maybe it would be beneficial to get one of these immune boosters that are possibly even toxic in the long term. Like short-term immune boosters, medium-term toxic.
Right.
So that gives you the ability to go in, grab whatever it is, come out before the radiation kills you.
Yeah, I mean, I could see things like this adding to like the complexity of quests and like the stuff you would need to prepare yourself for a mission. Yeah,
salvagers would probably benefit from all of those as well.
Oh, 100%.
All these buffs.
So we have an interesting question actually that ties into a lot of this from Cyberbob in Twitch, who says, Myre, I'm interested if you'll be able to gradually improve your base fitness in games so you can have more strength after keeping the hypertrophy buff along the time. Can we basically train our avatar to become heavy lifters or marathon runners? I don't think so. What do you think?
That kind of goes against that whole leveling up, traditional leveling up mechanic that Chris Roberts said he wants to avoid.
Yeah.
But it would make sense, though, because a lot of these systems that are coming in are stuff that just wasn't thought about back then.
Yeah, I mean, they could technically have their cake and eat it if they have it so that you are getting better at doing things, but at the same time, not putting a number to it, just like this bar.
Mm.
But yeah, it's a good question, honestly. The more you do stuff, the more the bar gets higher, and then you can have that bar max, and if you keep doing it, then it'll stay high. But if you stop, then, you know, Bruce Lee style, like water, your martial arts starts to get less and less, and so you have to like do it more to get it back up again.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know. Well, it's still too early to say, but one of the earliest like design ideas that Chris said he wanted to avoid was the whole not wanting leveling up for different things. You know, he wanted it to be more reliant on players' skill than reliant on players' playtime. But yeah, and then the last one, the opposite of immune boosting, was immune suppressing. So weakens your body's ability to fight off harmful elements. So you're worse off in Microtech, that kind of thing, or like you're worse off in Aberdeen.
Or you get lupus.
It's never lupus. Don't be stupid, Cuddy.
Oh yeah, maybe just be yeah, like I said, be more susceptible to lower air quality, or maybe even more susceptible to atrophic substances or fatiguing substances.
Yeah, it could be like this like overall thing that just makes everything else worse.
Mm.
Yeah. And then there's a small list of items that you can eat and drink, but it's not actually that much. I mean, like torpedo burrito for instance isn't
now,
there.
yeah.
For exactly,
I'm guessing for now, yeah.
it's just data mined things that made it into the patches like data, but shouldn't actually be there yet. So we don't know exactly if that's
I
the
mean,
final
is there
list.
turtle soup there? Because we know turtle soup exists in our corp.
No, but I will go over a couple. So, in total, there are only 5 food items like off the bat within this PTU's data that wasn't used. So again, I guess caveat here being that even though this stuff was in the data, it doesn't mean and it does not guarantee that this will happen. And it doesn't guarantee.
I think we should have opened with that. Like, none of that we're talking about here is guaranteed to happen or be put into the game either in the near or far future. This is basically just theory crafting based on a couple of lines of code that somebody pulled out of a PTU that weren't even put into the PTU.
Maybe perhaps you should cut that part out and then put it before everything else, or like just put like a warning, like a strobe warning with like the like theory crafting ahead, you know, or like not final. All right, so we have a few things. We have energy bar. Energy bar gives you the energizing effect. Surprise. You
but
have
only that.
Yes, just the energizing effect. I mean, there's a blurb about it. You know, made with nutritious, wholesome ingredients, this great tasting bar is formulated to provide sustained energy to help you maintain your best performance. That's about it. That's all it says. And it says NDR is 93, no hydration effects to it, and it's energizing.
Okay.
Next up is a bottle of water, which has a hydration index and no nutrition index. Guess what the effect is?
Hydrate.
Exactly. And yeah, so all
and
of those,
smugness.
So it gives you hydration. So I guess there will be other drinks that also hydrate you and give you the hydration index buff, or boost, but won't give you hydration. So you'd have to find more sources of that to drink over time. Yeah, so it's water. It has a blurb too, but I don't know if I should keep reading them all because it's just there. Yeah.
I think we're good.
Yeah. Chocolate bar. It's a chocolate bar. This one doesn't actually give you anything. It just says chocolate bar. And then lastly, there is the golden medmon, which isn't a new item. You can actually harvest these already on Hearthstone.
Right, one of the spiky fruits, I think.
Yes. And this gives you nutrition slightly less than the energy bar, and it also gives you the energizing effect.
Okay.
So those are the only 5.
Yes, and Desmond says in chat, chocolate is its own reward.
Exactly.
So you eat chocolate and you get the buff chocolate.
Exactly. You get the buff chocolatey fingers all over your spacesuit.
Oh God, yeah. Oh no. I'm not gonna repeat it. But I just had the worst idea. No, the worst thought. Mhm.
Which was?
Just like if you have chocolatey fingers and you put your gloves on it, then you have chocolate on the inside of your gloves, your spacesuit. Ah, oh.
Some marinade. Oh man, yeah. So Sparrow looks up in chat, says, "When food comes out, I'm only eating Big Bennies. That's it. I'm gonna get extreme space diarrhea." Honestly, I think that a lot of people are gonna try this. This is gonna be their first thing to do. Either they go back to the whole Big Benny meme and all they do is eat Big Bennies, or they'll just stick to eating one thing and see what happens to them over time. Because it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see if those
I
effects.
would love to see if the only effect of having diarrhea would be that whenever you walk, you get that sloshing sound, but without having to carry that waste box.
Honestly, like once they add having to use the toilet and like your spacesuits will come with some like reserves for that stuff. If they don't add that sound effect, I would be disappointed. But I'm also disgusted in you.
Yeah. I have the worst ideas. I shouldn't be on a podcast.
But that concludes the food stuff and the prison stuff from the data mined portion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have no doubt in Luke Presley that he's gonna make prison gameplay exciting.
Yeah.
At least not totally boring and off-putting for if you do get incarcerated.
Yeah. 100%. I'm looking forward to seeing it. We're so close now, and we're going to be getting into bounty hunting gameplay as well. But yeah, like I'm really looking forward to this. You know?
Do you think we'll get disabling ships already?
Nah.
Or is it, as soon as you get killed by someone that has the right to kill you, either by the law enforcement or a bounty hunter that has accepted your bounty, do you then just respawn inside a prison instead of Port Olisar, for instance?
So the bounty hunting gameplay, at least at tier 0, I can imagine would be robust enough so that it wouldn't rely on extra things like having to arrest somebody. So the way I imagine it would be, and I would be surprised if it was different, would be like if you're a bounty hunter doing a bounty, you have a sphere of influence around you. If somebody has a crime stat and they die next to you, or they die next to an NPC that's a security guard, if your crimes are high enough, you're going to jail. That's how I think it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But in the future,
so they're actually turning dying in Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Myre has fainted.
Wop wop. But yeah, that's how I feel it's gonna be, at least in tier 0 for sure.
When are we getting body dragging?
When are we getting body dragging?
Is it 3.9 or 4.0? I think it is on the roadmap right now, even though we don't have 4.1 yet.
Is it on the roadmap? We can check, because they did do a roadmap switcheroo kind of like reprioritization thing a while ago, a couple weeks, and they haven't. Yeah, and they haven't.
And we were supposed to have gotten 4.1 3 days ago on Friday, and hate to admit it, but that's basically what we were both hoping that the topic of this podcast was going to be about. And Cyberbob says that it is in 4.0. So yeah, body dragging would be in 4.0, which I'm guessing would be downed enemies being dragged to your spaceship to be incarcerated or locked up for transport to a prison.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, kind of neat, honestly. Like, but not just like dragging like bad guys, but also dragging friends who are downed during like these big like PvP operations.
Oh yeah. Like a system that covers everything.
Dungeon. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm looking forward to that though. Body dragging and all that stuff, kind of like it makes the world more realistic.
Go around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like drag around at least anyway. Yeah.
You remember the old Ilfarnic Star Marine demos where we're supposed to have gotten body dragging back then already.
And deployable shields.
And different types of grenades and
and
different types of ammunition.
and SATA ball and all that stuff.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to putting my Cutlass Red to the test. That's for sure. I'm looking forward. I mean, yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. You know, like we do get delays and all that stuff, and you know, I hate to sound like an apologist, but the delays mean that it's working. You know, it burns because it's working. You know, if they stuck, if they stuck rigidly to, you know, like what that roadmap says, and you know, by hook or crook, this mechanic is coming out, etc., then there'll be no difference to traditionally published games, and it would never be to the
overworked developers, unfinished features, buggy mess.
Exactly.
You know what with Dragon I'm reminded of the CitizenCon demo where he both grabbed a shirt and dragged it off a desk and grabbed the tarp of the Ursa and dragged it off.
Yes.
Yeah. Just imagine that sort of technology where you're dragging your fallen comrade up the ramp of your Cutlass Red through the door and onto the table to have him healed up. Yeah, just
I mean that brings another question though. Like when you're incapacitated, like what happens to you? Like is it lights out because hey, realism, or like do you get to see from a third person perspective? I don't know. We'll see.
Also, here's something that, you know, since we don't have gurneys or, you know, carts for transporting people or drones yet, why didn't they make the Cutlass Red beds retracting to the ground so you can drag the body onto an area and then the bed just pops up?
Because this is Drake.
Oh, that's true.
This is Drake.
Yeah, those beds are probably just bolted to the ground and have a cable to a wall. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so without like being too abrupt, we've hit the 1 hour mark
already.
We have,
Damn.
So,
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we could talk about. There's ships coming.
There's
the Carrack this month. The Cutlass Blue, and the what is it? Tavaran thing. Prowler.
The Prowler, the Esperia Prowler.
Yeah, and the Crusader Mercury Star Runner. Those are coming between basically February and 4.1.
Yeah. So a whole lot of stuff to look forward to for sure. But my question to you before we conclude.
Yes.
So the Carrack. The Carrack, sorry.
My baba.
Yes. Once that's out, what will be the next great gibboning, do you think? Like the Carrack is, for years now, the Carrack has been forcibly Disco Orlando's favorite ship. It's been what people have been talking about, you know, like it's on milk cartons, like a missing JPEG ship. Work. Have you seen my Like what's going to be the next great gibboning? What do you guys think? I think chat's also,
Yeah, chat has nailed it. It's gonna be the Banner Merchantman, which has been. It's like it's even bigger than the Carrack, isn't it?
The Merchantman.
It's like the Kraken size, right?
No,
or even bigger.
No, the Merchantman. I mean, like if we're going by old metrics or the metrics that are on the Matrix, the Merchantman is about the size of a hammerhead.
Only
in terms of length, yeah.
But we've seen concept art. It's got a market inside where you could fit a hammerhead.
Well, I mean, again, it's concept art, and again, it's old metrics, and I mean, apart from concept art, like the odd, you know, like image and stuff in engine that they've shown of development, they haven't actually touched metrics for that for a long time. So we don't know. But if we're to follow those metrics, it's not that big. You know, it's not that big. But that being said, scale is a weird thing in Star Citizen. The Cutlass is the same length as a Boeing 737. So, I mean, like...
Is it?
Know, yeah. 36 meters, Boeing 737. You know?
Wow, okay.
So, scale is a weird thing. But yeah, we'll see. And obviously...
yeah, and then there's also the Hull series.
The Hull series
Hull series that is I'm thinking presentationally, or I want to call it, complete, at least the whole C, but it's waiting for those animated physics grids for the cargo things.
Yeah. On the Squadron 42 roadmap, they did say that the Hull C was ready, but again, like probably just the externals. The same way that the the Reclaimer was made and was ready like a couple years ago, but it can reclaim anything. But because like scrapping and all that stuff, that gameplay is scheduled, but it's not like, I mean, it's not necessary at this point in development, like they gave it to the players to use. But as for the Hull C, they don't want that same situation where you have the ship, but you can't do anything because it extending and spindling out is integral to its use, and it's completely useless without it. So without them being able to give us cargo with a Hull C, it's there for Squadron at the moment because it's pertinent to the story, but it's not there for us yet.
Yeah, and in Squadron, it could actually just be fully extended at all times because I'm guessing it's just for backdrops.
Yeah,
and
like
for
maybe an escort mission or something.
an escort mission. Yeah, and you're not going to be taking control of it and push the button that extends or retracts it. No, extends or retracts. Yeah,
that'd be so weird. It'd be like you're playing the Call of Duty story mode, and all of a sudden you're driving a Euro truck simulator truck, like for no reason.
Yeah. So Squadron 42 is going to have a lot of. It's going to be quite whittled down in terms of
what you can do. It's action.
Yeah.
It's military. It's not. It's not economy. But yeah.
And then there's the Kraken. And there's the
Star
Polaris.
Polaris, I think, is going to be a gibboning ship for sure.
It's already started.
Oh yeah.
Yes, on the Reddit I saw a post of somebody who recreated it, just the exterior of even though we have neither, we only have high resolution renders. We don't have the 3D model from the store and stuff like that. So yeah, somebody did that. Quite cool, but it's one of those ships that's pure military. And not really interested in those, which is why February for me right now feels like that week before Christmas when you're a kid.
Yeah, and Mr. Boomer in chat says Redeemer, poor Redeemer,
poor Redeemer.
Honestly, if people have gone like feral over the Kraken, I mean the Carrack even, I think it's been the opposite for the Redeemer. They're like, where's my Redeemer, CIG? And then they kind of just like, they saw the Valkyrie and they've kind of just like given up on the poor thing. They're just like, whenever, I guess. Oh yeah. Rip Redeemer.
Yeah, but the Redeemer is gonna look so much different.
Yeah.
Because technology-wise, metrics-wise, that the entire thing just doesn't fit.
It was a Gundam ship with its garlic press engines and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
shall we finish?
I think we shall. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for catching us up again and watching another episode of, or listening to another episode of the Fortnightly Frontier with me, Myre, and over there we have again Mr. Darjanator. This was live on Twitch TV, but you can also catch us on YouTube and wherever great podcasts are found. I like that. Although we're only on Spotify, so just on Spotify.
And Google Play Podcast.
And Google, so
and
wherever fine podcasts
exactly.
are found. Yes.
You were right the first time.
Yes. All right, guys. Until next time, though, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time in the verse.